Hey y'all, it's Kristen from our Donnie Farm here, and I just wanted to share with you what it looks like to run our track boarding system. So we're starting out pretty early here. The sun is just kind of starting to rise, and that means step number one is liberate the chickens. So as you'll see, we have our mighty flock of 2 hens and 1 rooster. If you've been following along for any length of time at all, you'll know that we actually had our rooster first. We were adopted by Fred at our old farm, and when he and his brothers were dumped, I assume for the terrible crime of being roosters. So he came to live with us here, and then he was lonely. So we decided that he needed some hens, and in the rural way, we decided to trade a friend of ours some used cattle panel that we weren't using for 2 friends for Fred. So we got Millie and June, and they've been kind of happily living together ever since. Huge egg production is not our main focus here. I don't even eat eggs. Mark will. But yes, so I don't over supplement them or do anything crazy during the winter to increase laying. They're just allowed to be hens, and they do free range here. They get locked up at night, but for the rest of the day, starting at sunrise, they're out doing chicken things, which has actually been super helpful. They're helping us break down compost piles and eating bugs, and they're going to be a part of our kind of management strategy for insects and stuff. So let's chickens. Step 2 is hay nets. The ponies have been going through their hay a lot faster the last 2 days. I'm not sure what's up. Maybe that their bodies are just kind of getting ready for spring, or something, that the DNA is telling them it's time to start bulking up. Weather's warming, I don't know. But they've been going through their hay a lot faster, which is fine, but it means we're doing filling hay nets a little bit more frequently and filling our hay barn. If you're starting up a track system or any boarding facility or any horse facility at all, thinking about hay storage and how that hay is going to get into wherever you're storing it, I think is really, really important. It was a point of frustration for us. We do have our hay now stored in a section of our garage, and there is currently a window into where I stuff our hay nets and kind of feed the horses. And one of the projects that we have going on is to actually cut this out and make a door so we can quickly and easily bring hay around and through, because currently we have to walk it all the way around the barn, which, each time we're doing it doesn't feel like that much, but it adds up over, over the year to hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. So planning out how hay is going to get delivered and where we're going to store it. It's obviously more expensive to pay for delivery or have to go get hay more often. So I don't like to store, get any less than 150 bales of hay. We have put up as much as 360, but I wouldn't recommend it unless I had a better storage facility. The other struggle that we have currently is that our driveway comes off of a very narrow street. So getting really big hay trucks in here has been challenging. And we've had to stack hay from the street before, which I don't want to do again. But we were super lucky that our friends over at By the Creek Farm brought us this hay. They're growing organically. They're just phenomenal people. And they came in a box truck, which he was able to back right up to this, and we were able to unload here. So, all right, I'm going to restock our hay barn and then stuff some hay nets. With our hay loaded, let's go grab some hay nets. One of the things that I will also suggest doing is, as you're starting your property, making sure that you have gates that you can just walk through as a person, because I have a little gap in mine here. It's a little tougher with my puffy winter coat on. But not having to like open and close gates every time I want to go through them has been a huge time saver and something I would not want to live without in the future. We are here, it is kind of late winter, and we are having a kind of frosty morning here after we've had some warm weather, and our hay nets are just about empty, which is unusual for this time of morning. So I'm gonna be quick like a bunny here and get some hay out to these hungry ponies. Okay, so now that I have my hay nets kind of gathered up, I will go ahead and start stuffing hay nets. I will say that usually I would start by soaking feed first, but since the hay nets were so low, which is uncommon for this time of morning, I want to get hay out to the horses right away because I don't want them feeling like the hay is going to run out. That adds to agitation, stress. They start to overeat that way. So I just want to try to cut them off from this thinking that like the food is going to be a limited resource, right? So my priority number one is to get food back out to them, since almost all of the hay nets are kind of down to the dregs. We definitely don't want them feeling like they're in a sense of like scarcity. So that's my top priority now. We have different types of hay nets. I have these hay pillows that go on the ground, and then I have nets that we can hang, and then I also have nets that we tie off and we put on the ground. So we have a variety of head positions and things for them to interact with, and we mix and match them throughout the day. Let's get started. Okay, so now that I have my hay nets all stuffed and ready, it's time to take them out to the ponies. We do have two kind of sections of our track. We have the front section, which is surfaced, and the back section, which is not surfaced yet. So I do try to alternate taking the hay nets to the front and to the back to maximize movement. It's been really wet here the last couple of days, and looking at the weather, it's going to continue to be wet. So I do try to pull them off of the back to just maintain the integrity back there. So I'm probably just gonna put these hay nets up front, and probably will for the next few days, just to try to like keep the back as dry as possible, and just stop from creating like big divots from their feet while the ground is soft. So it's nice that we have this ability to kind of protect the backfield, the back track from their feet by keeping them up front, using the front as like a sacrifice area. So let's get started, bringing some hay to the ponies. Now that the ponies have their hay, out and they can go find their hay nets and everything is content and easy, we can start mixing our feed for this afternoon. It does take a couple of hours for our beet pulp and stuff to soak. Normally I would do that overnight when the weather is nice and cool, but there was a risk of it freezing last night and I didn't want to wake up to an ice block of beet pulp, so I'm doing it in the morning. I do measure everything by weight and not volume, just to make sure that I'm getting accurate measurements and that we're not feeding anybody too much at one meal. Really the only one who is at any risk for that at all is Dakota. She does get, overall she gets 8 pounds of food a day, so we want to break that up into 4-pound increments, or at least no more than 5 pounds at any one feeding. So, and she looks like she's ready to have her breakfast. See you in a minute. So I just soaked up Dakota's feed. Her senior feed, her complete feed that she gets, does soak up pretty quickly. It's not like the beet pulp that takes a few hours, in my experience, especially in the cold, especially if they're new. So hers only takes maybe 10 minutes to soak. So I'm just going to soak here in her bowl. And then I will get her out to have her morning meal and her morning alfalfa while they finish soaking the rest of the food. Okay, so I have Allie and Dakota out now and they're having their morning breakfast. They are slightly harder keepers than some of the air ferns, and I think one of the big challenges for running a track system, or maybe any farm, is trying to meet the nutritional needs of all of our horses. Everyone is turned out together. We do have 6 horses, and they range from an off-the-track thoroughbred to my metabolic Rocky Mountain horse, and kind of everybody in between. So we're always like really carefully trying to balance the nutritional requirements of the individuals in our herd. And one of the best ways that I have found to do that is to be able to pull them out. And the horses who need some extra calories, get them this way, and the horses who don't are on their hay. This seems to be working pretty well so far. I have run some concepts of running like separate tracks somehow and being able to put the horses who need more nutrient dense hay on one side and then the horses who don't on the other side to try to meet their needs while keeping them in a group environment. But until that gets done, this does seem to be working, and the horses seem to get into their flow of the routine, and I don't have banging on the gates of any of the horses who are not out here. They're all eating their hay. They seem just as happy not knowing that they're missing out on the like super rich alfalfa that these girls are getting. And everyone seems happy and content. All right, let's go soak the rest of those buckets. Okay, so one of the downsides about our current property is that I don't have water where I'm mixing my feed. If I were to do things over, or when I have the resources in the future, that's something that will definitely change. Because right now, I have to trek my buckets over to the water. It's not the end of the world, but it could definitely be more efficient. So we are feeding beet pulp pellets and a Timothy alfalfa pellet, and that all needs to be soaked for safety. Also, it increases some hydration for them, but it takes time, and so are the hoses, so I'm gonna get to soaking. Okay, with those buckets filled with water, I'm going to leave them to soak. Next step, clean up the track. So one of the things that people sometimes say about the track system is that you don't have to do stalls because the horses aren't stalled, but we definitely do still have to pick up all of the manure that is on our track. Otherwise, it would just compost and create mud and yuckiness on our track. So we don't want that. So we definitely still pick up multiple times a day on the track to keep everything clean. And I will say that I don't know if it's the surface, if it's our clay. I don't know what's going on. But at our old property, even though horses were out 24/7, they were not kept in stalls, their feet were always just like a little funky. It's something that our trimmer would talk about. Like, I don't know what's going on. They're out a lot. You know, they're not housed in poor conditions. But since moving here, since being on the track, this clay, I don't know. Their hoof health has just really done phenomenal things. I don't know if it's being off of the grass, I don't know, but I did want to say that we are noticing really nice changes in their frog health and the white line issues. Like, really happy with how that's going. So I'm gonna get to clean it. So Dakota and Allie have shown me that they're done. So now I'm gonna go ahead and turn them out. Let's just tidy up the kind of morning barnyard here. I'm going to put the chicken food back out because I have to put it up while Dakota's out because she really wants to eat the chicken food and I don't know why. So now that she's back with the herd, I can put the chicken's food back out. So that pretty much wraps up most of the morning chores, although one of the things that I do, or at least I try to do every morning, is I spend time just observing the herd. I do this a few times a day, and I want to just check in and watch their behavior because that's how they can communicate with us what their needs are, how they're feeling, all of that. So I try to spend, 30-45 minutes a few times a day just observing them. I watch for who's hanging out with who is maybe having a bigger bubble for personal space today. How are they standing? What are they choosing to do? The drawbacks of from a management perspective, is that we don't have them in stalls, so I don't have a reliable way to determine how many piles each horse is producing and how much water they're drinking. I have to kind of average it out. So if someone was drinking less and someone was drinking more, I might not notice. So I do spend time just kind of watching. I finished cleaning the track today, and when I came back around, there were 4 new piles, and there were 4 horses in, because Allie and Dakota were both out. So I will generally kind of make sure that I see Dakota and Allie poop today, just kind of keep my awareness up. A high percentage of mares in our herd, so I try to watch and pay attention to signs that someone could be in season and let their guardians know that. I'm really lucky. I have a super dedicated group of ladies here, and I know at least 2 of them track and journal their horses' cycles and behaviors and all that, and I'm out here with them a lot, so I like to be able to provide that information. I try to see someone laying down. Does everyone lay down? If they're not laying down, if I don't see a horse lay down, that could be an indication that they're painful, or that their joints are hurting, or they don't feel safe. Are they laying down too much? I'm like, that could indicate a problem. So I'm just trying to be very mindful of what the herd is doing, and changes in their behavior, changes in their way of standing, of how they interact with each other, big behavioral shifts in their personalities. Video showing what our afternoon chores look like, but I'm actually not going to be here for our afternoon chores. I'm about to head out to a client's house to do some behavior modification and behavior training, and I won't actually be here. So I will be turning over afternoon chores to one of our phenomenal boarders. It's actually Dakota's guardian, Madison. Okay, oh, that makes me so happy. Watching the horses use the sand pit really warms my heart. That was one of the things we put in pretty early. I was really adamant about having it, and it was not inexpensive, so I was kind of, but they do use it all the time, and it really makes me happy to have them have a nice, cozy place to lay down. So, as I was saying, I won't be here. Madison works off part of her board. And so she'll be doing afternoon barn chores, but I just need to kind of set things up for her to do that. So she will help me give kind of afternoon meals to Dakota and Balios, and I just want to make that setup and easy, so I need to go get their supplements ready, because one of their supplements that they're getting can't be exposed to the air, so to the cold temperatures. It has to be at room temperature. So I'm gonna go run and get that set up so that she's ready to feed those 2, and then I will do kind of the evening stuff for everybody else when I get home. Okay, so I have Balios' food set across over here. I have Dakota's food set up over here, and now I can get my stuff together and head out to meet my client.